What's going on, guys? Playbox and we're back from our Dragon Ball Legends video. In this one, we are going to be reacting to GORESH'S newly released top 10 best units in the game, July 2022 edition. Now, I did react to his previous top 10 list. I believe that was released when MUI Goku dropped, so I don't think Dragon Fist Goku was on that list. But this is obviously the July 2022 edition, so this has all the 4th anniversary units. And I believe he did mention in the intro that this is before Buhan's release. I mean, obviously this video was released before Buhan and Tien's release, so they're not included. So this is all the way up to basically what's dropped in like recently, like the EX Evo Boost Zenkai, which I doubt he's gonna include that, but basically up until like Ultra Super Vegeta's release, right? So pretty interested to see what he has to say. I forgot what his top 5 was on his last one. I'm pretty sure he had the droids at number 1. Who was it? Super Gogeta at number 2. I believe MUI Goku at number 3, and then the rest I kind of forgot. I think maybe Perfect Cell was in there. Golden Frieza probably at number 5 as well, and stuff like that. So interested to see. So he has chapters here. I don't want to skip through it, but he has honorable mentions, and he has pretty much for like you can pretty much skip towards each one of the numbers. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Don't want to listen through a lot of them. I'm gonna probably listen to like the explanation a bit, and then kind of chime in and give my reaction to it. So let's see how this goes. Honorable mention. Let's start it off here.
All right, so here are my honorable mentions for the July edition of the top 10 rankings here. We have the Zenkai Vegito Blue. We have LF Full Power Frieza. We have continuing to hate on how they handled Blue Bardock. He will forever, no matter what happens, he will always be in my honorable mentions list. You could definitely...
Okay, so honorables mentioned real quick. Goku and Vegeta is the one that like jumps at me like straight off, and I'm surprised to see that VB and Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta are not in his top 10. That's pretty surprising, because I would consider them top 10 units right now. Maybe VB like barely scratching the surface of top 10. I know I had him rated higher on the tier list, but after carefully like looking at it, I don't know why I had him that high. But yeah, VB and Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta not in the top 10. Sword of Hope Trunks, it makes sense. Goku and Vegeta as an honorable mention, that's pretty interesting. Because literally every like top rankers I see on Twitter or anything like that, they don't really consider him that high. So it's interesting to see that he has him in the honorables mention. I guess it makes sense. Full Power Frieza, interested. Sword of Hope Trunks and Bardock. He said Bardock, he placed him here because he just hates Bardock, which I completely understand. So does he have any explanation for this? Or?
And what that tells me is that there are just a ton of really, really powerful characters available right now in the game.
Yep.
Right. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is not on here. LF Purple Jiren is not on here. Purple.
Wait, LF Purple Jiren. Why would you even consider him an honorables mention? I don't know. I don't even think it was worth noting LF Full Power Jiren, to be honest. But maybe his experience with him is different since he has him at 14 stars. But
Purple Whis could definitely make this list.
Purple
LF
Whis, yeah.
Red Zamasu is not on here either. Future Gohan, the LF Yellow Future Gohan, been a force in the meta for
Future Gohan's definitely shown his age. I don't think should even be considered in the honorables mention, but
a long time.
He's basically saying that there's a lot of units he didn't include in the honorables mention just because the top 10 units are just that much better, right? It's not necessarily saying that those units are bad. It's just that these units are just on a completely different scale, which I completely agree with.
Even like the LF mentions, I feel like making the list is probably the Zenkai Vegito Blue, and then after him I'd probably put the green Zenkai Vegeta.
Okay, so
both incredibly strong units, but I feel like the 10 units I have on my actual list just barely edge these guys out a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump.
Okay, so number 10, let's get into it.
All right, so coming in at number 10 on my top 10 characters list, we have Dragon Fist Goku, and honestly, I think those are probably the 2 best units in the game that pair with each other the best. Like they
Okay, so Tapion at number 10. That's a pretty interesting take. I myself would place Tapion much higher. I feel like Tapion he's like just outside the top 5, but that's just me because I feel like you see him way more than any of the other units that are in the top 10. I'm guessing we're gonna be seeing. And he just, like he said, he works extremely well with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. To say that they're the best pair, I would definitely disagree with. Right now, like by a long shot, the best duo right now is Ultra Super Vegeta and Ultra Gogeta. Like no one is touching that pit in terms of duo. Like, no one is touching them. Giant Fist Goku and Tapion is definitely a close second, but Ultra Super Vegito and Gogeta are just on a different scale. So yeah, let's see what else he has to say.
Synergy, I would say, with one another.
Okay.
This Gohan.
I might honestly just watch this in 2x speed, because I really don't want to, like, you know, I don't want to like just go long periods of time without, you know, really saying anything. Let me just put a 1.5.
That can really do everything, right? He's pretty strong offensively. He ignores special cover change with green card. He heals the whole team. He supports the team with strike damage, as well as, you know, he actually lets the character switching in after him draw an extra card. He seals enemy strike cards. He destroys enemy cards. Like, he's basically listing like all the good stuff about him. And I agree, like, he does so much, this Tapion. Like, everything he just listed, right? He's really good offensively, despite being a support type. He has insane utility with all the debuffs he applies, the card sealing, his green card being able to nullify cover. I keep saying he's just such a well-rounded unit. He just has it all, honestly. And that just makes him such a great unit. I honestly consider him the best non-LF sparking unit in the game. Like, you probably saw my video I made recently where I just flat out say he's the best, right? So, I mean, he's not wrong. He's very good. But I'm pretty sure we got the understanding of his his number 10. Let's go to number 9 here. Who's it gonna be? Perfect Cell. Okay. The oldest character on this list, which is pretty insane because he's not even a year old yet. It shows how crazy the power creep has been over the course of the past year. But you guys should pretty much know how this guy works at this point. Thanks to his unique equipment, he's been able to keep up with a lot of the newer characters. Yeah. And anniversary with UI Goku. If you take a look at how the meta has sort of evolved since then, we've gotten a lot of extremely, well, not a lot, but a few very prominent and very, very powerful yellow characters. So for me, that's sort of what's thrown this guy down the list a bit. But I still...
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know, we since the release of MUI Goku, which was his last time he made his top 10 list, we got two very strong yellow units in the form of Tapion and Super Vegito, right? And Super Vegito, and those two pretty much are in every game, so it makes sense to kind of bring him down a bit. It basically the same effect that that kind of brought Kaioken Goku down, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku down, the Ultra one, down, because there was a lot of strong red units, right? So him being a yellow unit and not that many strong purple units being in the meta, he kind of decreased as well. And it's kind of the same thing with this guy, right? There isn't that many strong green units. Actually, now I think about Giant Fist Goku does exist, but the two strong yellow units, Super Vegito and Tapion, are in every match, so that kind of decreases his value, right? So makes sense.
I think that with how strong this guy's kit is, with how good his aren't that many like insanely strong green units that have released recently, just Dragon Fist. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, in opposition of that, he's definitely very strong. But if there was a more, like, if the next LF, for example, is like a green character that's like dominating the game, guess what? This guy's gonna jump up the list because he's gonna be way more useful at that point.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's keep going here. Okay.
The list, we have the Ultra Blue Kaioken Goku. So once upon a time, and by once upon a time I mean like 4 months ago, this guy would have probably been number 1 or 2 on the list here. So how things have changed as the game has evolved over the course of the past few months. I believe on my previous list, this guy was like number 5 or 7. I believe he was probably 6, 5 or 6, something like that. But clearly we've had like things like UI Goku come out, and we've had a better yellow Saiyan release since this guy has released, which means that as an Ultra character, it's going to be very difficult to really want to include this guy on the team over he's not getting any of his Ultra ability active, right? It just defeats the purpose, right? So if this guy's competing with a spot with Ultra Vegito on my teams for the leader slot, I'm going to choose Ultra Vegito all the time. So I feel like...
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? This is the second Ultra. We had back-to-back yellow Saiyan units, and for him, he doesn't even buff the Saiyan tag, so you'd really want to use him on the leader, right? But if you're gonna leader a yellow unit, you're gonna go with Super Vegito 10 out of 10 times. There's really no reason to use this guy, especially since he's also out of the boost and Vegito's still in the boost, right? So there's almost zero chance for you to use this guy. Then he mentions a lot of strong red units. It's just not his meta right now. I have a video coming up soon where I revisit this guy, and you'll see how he handles in the current landscape of PvP. It's not terrible, but it's not at the same level as he was when he first dropped, which I guess makes sense. But to think that he dropped only 4 months ago and he's already being pushed a bit away like that is pretty crazy, right? So that's number 8. I mean, there isn't much else to talk about. I'm surprised he even has him at the number 8. I know a lot of people that wouldn't even include him in the number 10, in the top 10. So interested seeing he has him in the number 8, which makes sense because, like I always say, this guy still has one of the best kits in the game. So
definitely very useful. Him and Whis, and I believe ramp up his damage. Remember, he ignores.
Okay.
Number 7 on the list, we are going to have Revival Blue Frieza. So another character that really hasn't fallen off whatsoever.
7. Okay.
Since his initial
release.
Frieza. This guy was a crazy powerful unit on release, and I would still argue that on the correct teams, on the correct setups, this guy can still make a massive impact. And this is one of those characters, due to his kit and his revival ability, you can pretty much just throw him wherever you want on any team's leader slot, and he'll be able to perform perfectly well. And I think that ability, that flexibility this guy has, is going to allow him to remain very, very effective in this game for a long time. And additionally, on top of that, we've only really had one major green character release as part of the anniversary in Dragon Fist Goku. But even though we've had a character of that caliber release that is obviously in a type advantage situation over this unit, I feel like because of his revival mechanic and because of the fact that he does go type neutral after revival, he doesn't really care that much, right? I've had a lot of characters Dragon Fist this guy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Revival Frieza, I would, before even Tapion's release, I would have argued that this guy was probably the best non-LF sparking. Just having the revival in this meta is so damn important. Being a blue unit is also very good, and there isn't that many strong green units, like he mentioned. Dragon Fist Goku is really the only prominent one that has released. And like he said, having a revival unit, you can pretty much throw him on any leader slot. He has a lot of utility, a lot of sub countdown, Dragon Ball destruction. He does good damage post revival as well. He's just really a really all-around great unit. Similarly to the Tapion, right? He has a lot of stuff he can offer to the team. He's just all around very, very good. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm guessing he's gonna have Golden Frieza up. I just realized he didn't have Golden Frieza in the honorables mention, and he's not like included yet. So I'm guessing he's gonna be above in the top like 6. Golden Frieza. I would not put Golden Frieza in the top 6, but I guess it makes sense for him, right? I mean, let me guess. Is he number 6, Golden Frieza?
Alrighty, moving on to number 6 on the list here, we have Green Angel Golden Frieza. So this guy actually released just before the anniversary.
What does he have to say?
And I believe this guy was the last banner to release before the anniversary. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
But this guy, I feel like, hasn't really aged at all. He's still just as good as when he first came out. The only thing about this character, and I think the main reason why I didn't really drop him down that much on the list, is because there weren't really any purple characters that released during the anniversary to really make a dent in how powerful this guy is and his stance on versus the rest of the game.
Okay.
If, for example, if Ultra Super Vegeta released and he was purple, then there's no way in hell I would have this guy this high on the list. But as it stands right now, looking at the landscape of the purple characters in this game, there really aren't that many like really dominant purple units, and because of that, I feel like this guy pretty much has free reign to do whatever he wants in most situations.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The only very prominent purple unit I would say in the meta right now is either Revival Gohan or Perfect Cell. At this point, Revival Gohan is pretty much more common than Perfect Cell, just because Movies is such a crazy good team, right? Compared to, I mean, Future is still a prominent team. It's just that you don't really you see Movies way more often than Future, right? But he makes a lot of what I don't agree with what he said is he feels as good as when he released, which I don't agree with. After falling off the featured boost, I feel like his defenses, which were already an issue prior to the featured boost, his defenses are very, very like bad. Like you can easily just one-shot this guy. Then again, Goresh is using him at 14 stars, so his experience with using Golden Frieza could be a bit different from a lot of other people. So that's something to keep note of. I don't really go up against that many 14-star Golden Frieza. Like I don't even remember the last time I did. So whenever I do go up against him, it's usually around the 9-star range, and at that point, a lot of units can pretty much destroy him, right? But obviously his damage is still good. He heals a lot. Like his main ability feels like it heals darn near 100% of his life. Like not even kidding. It's just insane how much health restoration he has. Which adds to his sustainability since despite having low defenses, right? But this high on the list, even with the lack of very strong purple units, I wouldn't put him that high on the list. LOE is still a very, very good team. US is not so much, but LOE is still a very good team, but I wouldn't say LOE is like up there in like the top teams. I would maybe consider LOE like a top 5 team, probably. It would definitely go like, Fusions, God Key, Movies, Saiyans, Sun Family may probably over LOE. It's tough, but because of that, obviously his value has decreased a bit. But I don't know. It's his experience with him, right? 14 stars definitely gonna make a change. So I guess I need to go up against more 14-star Golden Frieza to really get a gauge of. Don't get me wrong. Despite not going up against 14-star Golden Frieza, I still think he's a monster. I just don't think he deserves to be this high on the list when there's units like Tapion he mentioned, Revival Gohan even, that aren't even in the top 10. Well, Tapion is, but Tapion should definitely be a lot higher. VB, Green SSB Vegeta. I feel like those units are much more impactful in the meta currently than this Golden Frieza. But let's keep going here. Number 6. Now we're entering the top 5. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's easy to guess what his top 5 is. It's pretty much this top 5 of units is going to be the top 5 for literally everyone. Almost no one can refute that the top 5 units right now are in no particular order: Droids, SV, SG, MUI, and Dragon Fist. Those 5 are currently the top 5 best units in the game. Whatever order you want to put him on, we're basically here to see what order he has him in. So let's see number 5 here. Dragon Fist Goku. I mean, this is pretty much everyone's number 5 unit. From here is where it kind of differs from everyone. Everyone has Dragon Fist Goku at number 5, and then they go from there. So, I mean, there's not really much to explain
details,
here.
I will say that I believe there is other unit. Like the top 5, there is a bit of a separation between.
Okay,
I will say that I believe there is a pretty significant jump from spot 6 to spot 5. I would say the top 5 in the game
completely agree.
are fairly better than every other unit. Like the top 5.
Every main team right now in PvP is comprised of 1 or 2 of these top 5 units. If you're not running one of these top 5 units, you're already at a severe disadvantage in PvP. That's just how it is with these units right now.
There's a bit of a separation between these 5 characters and the entire rest of the game, I would argue personally right now. Now obviously that could change. For example, if like LOE gets up. Now obviously that could change. For example, if like Frieza and Angel Golden Frieza spot 4, 3, 2, even 1. But as of right now, this is what I think are the top 5 units. So starting out with Dragon Fist Goku, again, you guys probably understand how good this guy is by now, but the one thing that makes this guy as good as he is the fact that he nullifies special cover changes twice for 10 counts every time he switches in. And the reason why that's so good, Dragon Fist, to the point where you can actually basically turn it into a guaranteed one-shot on essentially any character in the game almost. It's
I'm guessing he's talking about his ultimate.
I would say is the majority of what makes this guy top 5 him to easily build up his unique gauge. And that I would say for this character than it is for most other units because of the fact that it allows him to easily build up his unique gauge. And that I would say is the majority of what makes this guy top 5 material. The ability to build up that Dragon Fist to the point where you can actually basically turn it into a guaranteed one-shot on essentially any character in the game almost. It's absurd.
Yeah, pretty much what he's saying is because of this cover change ability, a cover change nullification ability on entry, and then coupled with his card draw speed, he has the potential to just combo forever and build up that unique gauge all the way to the top. And once it's filled, this guy turns into a completely separate beast. A lot of people have said that even like at his peak, fully built out, you can make him look like the best unit in the game, like straight up. His ult is easily probably just straight up the best, strongest hitting ultimate in the game because of not only having the supreme damage, but all the damage multiplier once the unique gauge is popped. But his biggest asset with that ultimate is because it reduces gauge and replenishes your gauge, basically combo dropping and forcing your enemy to take the hit. And what's pretty crazy about it is that if you're combo dropping for the advantage reduction, and you go for your ultimate, even if your opponent pops a rush or something like that, your ultimate will gain priority because ultimates and special move cards or lunging green card, blue cards, whatever, have priority at point blank range over rising rushes if activated first. So him activating a close range, point blank range ultimate with a combo drop will guarantee hit anyone. It turns type neutral, so it basically doesn't care about type disadvantage, and it just does its thing. Pretty much has the potential to one-shot any unit in the game. It's just ridiculous, man. But I don't know if he mentions this. Let's see.
Absurd. Once you build this guy's gauge up to the max, you can drop the combo into. Arguably, it's pretty absurd. And then on top of that, he's able to lock in the enemy with his. The only sort of downside I would say to this character is that he doesn't have the greatest green card ever. And I think you guys will see as we make our way through the rest of the top 5 on the list here.
I feel like his green card post unique gauge is pretty good. I mean, it gives you a strike card, gives you damage, gives you key, and gives you health. That's a lot of things you can get from a green card, and it's a stop time event, right? Obviously, it doesn't provide cover nullification, but even without that, it still provides a lot to the table. I would say it's better than MUI's green card, and probably better than Ultra Super Gogeta's green card as well. I would say it's like a top 3 green card, honestly. Post gauge, by the way. But I guess he didn't mention it, but let me see if he just quickly does mention it.
A lot of these characters between this Goku and the rest of the lineup, but there's really not much to say else about this beyond the team. Obviously, they work together because of the green-yellow synergy against things like that, and I think overall, just, very, very insane. So, number 5 on the list, LF Super Saiyan 3 Dragon.
Okay, so he doesn't actually mention it, but I would argue that something that kind of brings him down is the fact that it takes kind of a long time for you to pop his unique gauge. I feel like that's one of his, I guess, quote-unquote, flaws. It's not a huge flaw, but it is still there because it kind of prevents him from reaching his ultimate peak a lot faster. But it's not the biggest flaw, but it's still a flaw nonetheless. But that's in my opinion, right? So let's see what he got in number 4. Who's his number 4 spot?
So we'll move on to number Super.
Gogeta? He got Gogeta at number 4. Okay, let's see what he has to say about this. What?
Gogeta. Now, this guy released back during Legends Festival, so he's been out for... So you guys can only imagine how insane it was when this guy first released back in December.
He was undisputed best unit.
Yeah, things just could not stand to this guy at all. He was melting absolutely everything in the entire game, and there was not really much the enemy could do. And the one thing that makes this guy, I think, a bit different than the rest of the list here is that he is very easy to use. There's really not much about his kit that I would say, okay, you really want to make sure you're doing this, you really want to make sure you're doing that. The only thing
I mean, that could also be applied to the androids. I mean, I feel like, honestly, the androids are even more easier to use than Gogeta. You just pop a green and literally you win the game. He said that differentiates them from the rest of the units in his top 4. I'm guessing that obviously the androids are going to be in the top 4. I mean, his ease of use is similar to the androids in my opinion. I mean, like, the androids are not hard to use at all. You just, you know, get priority ones, pop the green card if you probably have them. Probably have a green card since you're going to be running him with Whis anyway. You pop the green card and you just start your combo, and then once you reach your tag, your switch ability, you switch and you continue the combo, and you might even get another green card and just keep going like that. So I would say that him and Gogeta, Gogeta also is not, by the way, it's still a very easy unit to use, right? You just continue comboing. If you get a green card, you can cover null, keep comboing, and then you get the blue card, destroy all your cards, and then repeat it again. So it's not that much different. I just feel like the androids are as easy to use as Gogeta. But that's just me, right? But Gogeta number 4, that's insane when a lot of people would consider this guy the best unit in the game currently, right? Ever since losing the boost to the androids, a lot of people would just consider this guy straight up the best unit in the game. So him being at number 4 is pretty damn nuts.
Really comment on with regards to like skillful use of this character, because if you just press the green card randomly, you can end up in a situation where you want to continue your combo, but you're scared the enemy's going to cover change, and then your combo gets interrupted. Whereas you could potentially save the green card too. His blue card is still incredibly good. It destroys the entire enemy hand, so at the end of a combo, you basically don't have to worry about the enemy retaliating for a few seconds, which gives you enough time to draw a full hand by himself because he also has card draw speed.
That's exactly, that's insane.
Keep going on and on for this unit. He just gets absolutely incinerated by Dragon Fist. That's like really the only reason I pushed him down a bit. There's not really anything negative to say about this unit. Maybe his defenses aren't as good as they were just because of the power creep, right? Offensive power creep is kicking a lot of characters out of the top ranks just because they just can't.
Okay, so the only reason he has him this low is because of Dragon Fist. It's a valid argument to make, because Dragon Fist actually completely shits on, like, the movies team actually just shits on Fusion's blue yellow, which is their best setup currently. But even then, like, this guy locks in and goes type neutral twice on entry after one unit is dead. So I feel like using Dragon Fist as an argument is kind of counterproductive when, like, I don't know, he just goes neutral, so that doesn't really matter. And Dragon Fist being as squishy as he is gonna take a lot of damage even from this Gogeta, even if it's type disadvantage. But if it's neutral, he's just gonna take even more damage. You can just lock him in one combo. So I feel like using Dragon Fist solely as the only argument is kind of weak, I guess, because, like I said, he has all these tools to counteract Dragon Fist, right? But obviously, if you get caught in a combo with Dragon Fist against this guy, he's gonna get decimated for sure. But that could be set up from a lot of strong green units, right? It's just how type advantage works. But I don't know, I feel like his type neutrality really helps him out in that aspect, which will most likely be pop. You're more often than not gonna get this guy's neutral and lock in off in a match than if you're not gonna get it. Like, if that makes sense. Like, you're obviously gonna sack off someone else over this guy, right? This guy is not gonna be a Rising Rush target no matter the case, right? So you're gonna get that neutral and lock in pretty much every game. So I don't know. Let's see. Do you have anything else to say about him?
Defensively anymore? They're definitely not bad. I mean, take a look at his defensive stats of 14 stars. There's still 170,000 of both of them. And I believe he has 50% damage reduction as well. Especially a few other units on this list as well coming up soon that also do ridiculous amounts of damage.
So I'm guessing...
not really much, again, negative things to say about this
number 3.
The zone easily. Probably continue being a very, very dominant force.
Yeah.
I think he'll still be at least decent still. Yep, Ultra Super Gogeta coming in at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. All right, coming in at number 3.
Okay, UI Goku.
Ultra Instinct Goku. So on the list that I did back when this guy first came out, I think I had this guy at around 5 or so.
5? No, I think he had him at 3.
Extensively using this guy and using him alongside the other anniversary characters, using him against the anniversary characters, I am pretty confident that this is a top 3 character in the game right now.
That's a fair argument to make. I mean, UI Goku has just his ability to stall the game, counter, all that stuff is just unmatched right now, and I don't really see I don't see it being bad for him to have a top 3, because he definitely has the potential to be a top 3 unit, or even higher in the ranks if you really want to push it, right? So honestly, it's not a terrible. I wouldn't say it's that controversial. I feel like a lot of people even have UI Goku at top 3, so it's not like too bad. Like I'm telling you, like these top 5 units, you can kind of mix and match them in any order you want. Dragfist Goku is usually at the 5th spot, but going further beyond that, like you can really mix and match it, and you can make arguments for every single placement. So it's not really that like crazy, right, to think of. But having an Ultra Gogeta at number 4 was pretty surprising. So
there is a lot that you have to keep in mind when using this guy. There's a lot you have to keep in mind when facing this guy. And I would say that when I made the list, going over the top, I underestimated how good this guy was back when I made that list. But now that I've had a lot of time to use this character, this guy came out basically 2 months ago, maybe like a day or 2 short, but essentially to the day almost 2 months ago.
That's crazy.
I'm sure most of you guys, when you fight UI Gokus, are fighting the type of player where they just sit there and side float and do nothing. Aggressive and normal is the correct way to use this character. Definitely the incorrect way to use this unit. I think actually being more aggressive than normal is the correct way to use this character.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the best way to use this guy. You don't want to just stay at long range and let your opponent just tap attack you or tap blast you and you lose your unique gauge. You want to try to pressure your opponent to doing something, catch them on side steps, do stuff like that, even floating slowly to close range and going for strike card, catch them off guard like that. You have to play all these different mind tricks, mind games with UI Goku. Simply just staying back and floating back and just waiting is not the way you want to use this guy.
Want to leverage the fact that he's basically refreshing his unique gauge whenever he uses cards to keep up the gauge, and you want to be using those counters not just as residual damage. You want to be using those counters to retain your advantage and to buy time to switch out to a different character depending on what the situation looks like. And that tool that this guy brings to the table, there's no other character in the game that can do that as effectively as this guy does. And you can sort of look back at the purple UI Goku, the UI Sign Goku that released back in Legends Festival 2020, and you can sort of make and draw up a few comparisons between these units because obviously they have the same style of unique gauge and they're sort of filling the same roles on their teams for when they both respectively came out in the metas that they exist in. But this guy is doing so much more than that purple UI Goku. The biggest difference is the fact that this guy doesn't have bad defenses, right? The biggest issue with that purple UI Goku was, sure, he had the unique gauge and he had pretty good damage, but he got touched once and he, like, you had to switch or he was dead.
Yeah, that was his biggest problem, UI Sign Goku. This guy, I'm guessing he's going to go show the stats, right?
With this UI Goku, look at his defenses.
Yeah, like he has really good stats, like 169, like high one, like 169, 167 is really good stats. And then he has insane cut. He has 50% cut just for existing, and then I believe on cover or on entry, he gets an additional 15%. So that's 65% cut with such good defense. Like he is able to tank. Like if you see any UI Goku gameplay, like he is not dying extremely fast. He's not dying so fast like UI Sign was back when he dropped. UI Sign, you catch him in a sidestep or catch him anywhere, you get priority over him, he's dying within like 3 strike cards, 3 blast cards, whatever. This guy, he can actually tank, which is insane because he has that coupled with the unique gauge. So it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
169,000 and 100. Top of that, he's also entering the battlefield with 15.
Okay, yeah, okay. So as you enter the battlefield, doesn't even need to be on cover.
And the dodging mechanic. That is ridiculous. This guy is insanely difficult to kill, especially in a 14-star environment. When I was grinding to God rank last season during
I mean, at this point, it's
when you're fighting in God.
Well, let's just see what he has number 2.
But
I feel like the video is going on for 2. Oh shit! Okay, wait.
Number 2 on my top 10 best units.
Androids at number 2, and then
every roll. There is no weakness to this unit. They are ridiculous. They are number 2. Let's move on to number 1. All right, coming in at number 1, we have Ultra
Vegito at number 1. Okay. You know what, like watching some of his videos using Super Vegito, I kind of felt like he was leaning towards Super Vegito being at number 1. But I wasn't actually sure he was gonna do it. But damn, he put Super Vegito at number 1. Like, believe it or not, I actually also believe Super Vegito is number 1. I made a post on Twitter and like Instagram and stuff, basically saying that, you know, I tend to agree that Super Vegito is better than the androids and Gogeta, right? Obviously, you can argue Gogeta and the androids are better. It's so close, like you can argue anything. But for me, you know, after using Ultra Gogeta at 14 stars as well, I just feel like Vegito just does so much. His combo potential is just through the roof. He tanks so well. Endurance actually comes in clutch a lot. You'd think that even when the androids cover like null endurance, like for existing, you'd think endurance would be, you know, useless, but there's a lot of matchups where you're not going up against the androids anyway, right? So having that endurance safety net is always going to be good. His ultimate hits stupid hard. Green card is ridiculous. Like this guy, like he just does so much, and I feel myself just being able to 1v3 anyone with this guy. It's just insane. But let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. This guy is actually just ridiculous. I basically spent the entire last season grinding up to God rank and retaining God rank in one of the most hellish seasons ever. And I really didn't have that bad.
Quick side note, I really wish I had Super Vegito at 14 stars.
At the time, I thought this guy really dominated most of the matches that I was in. Keep in mind, my team, when I was grinding last season, consisted of this guy that was using the Super Saiyan 3 Dragon. But they all do actually work pretty well together. So as a team, I was able to dominate. But this guy definitely, I think, stood out to me above the other 2 units. pretty handily. And I mean, I could just go down the list of things that this guy does. He does so much. He has one of the best green cards in the entire game, which you can actually combo off of a cover change.
That's insane. The fact that you can combo, like I remember when I read that when I was making a breakdown of his kit from that video, they mentioned that you can combo off a cover chain with his green card. I was like, what the hell? Imagine if they gave him cover null. That would be just broken. So it makes sense for them not to give him cover null on the green card, but if they did, holy shit, he would be #1 undisputed, and it just wouldn't even be a fair comparison at that point.
Just that doesn't happen. People like to say, oh, First Form Frieza can do that. First Form Frieza technically could combo his green card off of cover change, but it's dependent on the enemy not being immune to immobilization, which is pretty common these days, I would say. So it's not as reliable as this green card, but it's just a knockback into a combo. I have actually seen people asking for this guy's, or wishing for this guy's green card to nullify cover change. Do you guys understand what kind of game this would be if Vegito could nullify cover change with this green card? We would have another Android situation here. If this guy could nullify cover change with green card, there would be no point in using any other unit than this guy. It would actually be the point in the game.
Like, it's crazy, because let's say you just cover change into the green card, your free combo just starts like that, just for guessing that they're gonna go for a strike card, unless they go for a full screen strike. But I guess it makes sense. Like, I'm glad they didn't give him a cover null on the green card, but I'm also not glad that the only way he gets cover null is on the counter, which is it just doesn't flow well in my opinion. I would want the cover null to be able to, like, obtainable in the middle of a combo. I don't want it to be like resetting the combo, if that makes sense. That's why green cards like the cover nulls on Gogeta, MUI, Droids, Dragonfist, all of them, you're able to cover null as you're continuing the combo. But for this guy, you have to cover null and then try to gain priority again. So that's what makes it a bit, kind of annoying in that end. But let's hear what he has to say.
If that effect was on the, it wouldn't even be like a little bit too good. It would be way it wouldn't be fun at all. He has obviously the blast counter via his unique age, which is able to give him special cover change nullification. It does allow him also to buy time, similar to how UI Goku's counter works, and it does some pretty good damage. Now, I will say that it definitely isn't as good as UI Goku's counter, but
nowhere
in
near
a
as
specific
good
situation where you really want this guy to be able to stall out for like a few extra seconds, you can definitely and I've done this with your allies. If you find yourself in a position where you really want to get out of the battlefield, you can use this to counter drop combos. You can use this to counter perfect vanishes in some situations. So it's definitely extremely useful. But
I even made a video on how to counter with that counter perfect vanishes with the counter, so it's definitely possible. It's kind of like a rare instance, but it's definitely possible.
I think if I had to narrow it down to two things, the two things that make this guy as good as he is. Number one, his combo potential is just ridiculous.
Yep.
He gets card draw speed for 4 counts whenever a strike or blast is used. I believe it's 15% extra damage received. Let me just take a look and confirm. Yeah.
Wait,
whenever a strike and a blast, or a strike or a blast is used, I believe it's 15% extra damage received. Let me just take a look.
Yeah.
Stack up to like 6 or 7 instances, which equates to basically, what is that? Like 100% extra damage, 90% extra damage received by the enemy thanks to his debuffs. Obviously, it's going to increase in effectiveness because of his card draw speed stacking up. And we talk about his combo potential. I mean, he can honestly combo for just as long, if not even longer, than the androids can. I think
easily longer than the androids.
Combo this guy for 60, 70, sometimes even over 80 combos. Thanks to the stacking card draw speed. And then the second thing I would say that makes him good to see is his defense. This is pretty much the only character in the game that can tank this well, I think. He gets 50% damage reduction baseline, and then in combination with that, he gets ridiculous defense with that. I mean, take a look at this. 170.
Yeah, like his defense are closing in on 180,000, which is nearing LF Zenkai territory. But he gets 50% damage reduction just for existing, and then when he enters, he gets 20%. He has 70%. To sustain damage cut with this much defenses. It is insane. Now, I remember when I first heard that he was a defense type in the reveals and stuff, I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? But him being a defense type was actually a pretty good idea, because he tanks well and he does crazy damage. Combo potentials up the ass. It's just insane. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what he has to do
whenever he gets hit. So the endurance, aka he doesn't die unless you get really, really caught. And like on top of all that, he's doing crazy damage. Again, he's debuffing his main ability. And if you're in a position against like UI Goku, which I found myself in the situation a bunch of times against UI Goku when I was farming for God Ring, last man standing UI Goku with endurance, my Vegito's my last man standing, I pretty much just one-shot 14-star LF UI Gokus with this guy's ult.
Yeah, that's something I don't always remember, is that when you have a dead ally, his ultimate will be type neutral, which is extremely good. Like he said, like the exact scenario you said, when you're going up against a UI Goku and you have like your last man and stuff like that, it works out extremely well. You could just, like he said, easily just one-shot the UI Goku, which is insane. But I mean, that's pretty much all he has to say. Let's just like wrap it up.
No, I don't want to off, but this is my number 1 pick. Again, if you really want to...
That's going to be his number 1. So overall, his list has some questionable decisions. Ultra Gogeta being number 4 is probably definitely the biggest one. But his reasoning is sound. Like, it makes sense what he has to say. And like I keep repeating myself, the top 5 are very close. You can have them in whatever order. It was just surprising, especially since a lot of people consider Gogeta to be the #1 unit, right? For him to be number 4 for him is pretty surprising. Other than that, Tapion being that low is kind of surprising as well. And Golden Frieza being that high alongside Revolve Frieza. So it's kind of but like I said, he has a completely different experience when using Gold LOE, right? He has them all at 14 stars, so it's kind of skewing his experience of it. So or maybe he has a better understanding better experience using all of them at 14 stars, so maybe this might be the play. But I just think that Tapion offers way too much, and he's on the best teams currently. He's used a lot more than any of these units, so I feel like he should be higher. And there's honorable mention. Definitely think that some of those units should be in the top 10, like the Vegeta and potentially the VB. But overall, it's definitely a solid list. Like, all these units are definitely worthy of being in the top 10 unit. His top 5 worthy of being in top 5, and there isn't that many crazy takes other than the Ultra Gogeta being at number 4, right? So overall, it's a pretty solid list. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, because that shit is so important. So don't forget. Other than that, have a great day. See ya.